Dr. Karin at the Dr. Karin Show, and I have right with me three beautiful ladies, and we're taking part two of a show that we're calling S.H.E, because it's based on a nonprofit that they have founded and they've helped run called S.H.E, which is S.H.E, Spiritual Healing Energy, and it is a beautiful gathering of women. Those of you that have not seen part one, we're just going to cover it real quickly so people understand what we're talking about. I'm going to introduce everybody. This is Kysha Cameron here, and this is Michelle Hodgson, and this is Ina Love. And we have come together to discuss this powerful thing. I wish you guys would have been here actually during the break, which I just have to fill you in on what just happened. So we had this beautiful break between part one and part two, and I'm just going to throw out some things that came up. Fried Oreos, Burning Man, deep fried Oreos, Burning Man, teepee parties. What else came up?
Sweat lodges.
Sweat lodges, private islands, ayahuasca. There was some stuff going on. So I'm actually not completely sure how this show is going to unfold, which is why I wanted to do a second hour. Because I really wanted to have an organic show, just exploring some of the journeys that these women have had and what brought them collectively together to form this beautiful organization called S.H.E, which is changing not only each one of their lives and my life, because I'm going to the next gathering in April 19th at Park Tavern here in Atlanta. And you're going to want to buy tickets as soon as you hear how awesome they are. You can go to eventbrite.com and just type in or Google S.H.E, Spiritual Healing Energy, Park Tavern, Atlanta. You're smart. You'll find the tickets. You can buy tickets to just the kind of the gathering, which kind of has some ritualism to it. It's got has some sharing to it, definite healing to it. It's a safe space, no expectation, kind of like this show today, like no pure structure, just kind of letting you show up and be who you are. And there's also a ticket if you want to have dinner and wine and share and have some communion more. It's actually communion, wine and dinner afterwards.
There you go.
Perfect.
Let it go.
I went to church almost every day as a kid. I took a lot of communion. Not sure how much it helped, but anyway. The awesome thing about these women is, my show's tagline is bringing the mind, body, and heart to a place where it meets the spirit, and that is exactly what's happened here as we're talking about all this great, like, mental, physical, spiritual, feminine stuff, and it's to me the underlying bond is energy, and energy comes from our soul, and we've talked about how organically and just from no coincidence of the universe, we have found each other on this taping day, and we found each other days before this and probably lifetimes before this. Those of you that, if you're watching, you probably agree with us on that. And we've got these soul connections here, and some of the words that have come up are tribe and sisterhood and community and sacred and safe space and authenticity, and that kind of represents what each one of these women bring to this organization and to the relationships they have with each other. Because I think that this is really based in the foundation of relationships that you guys share. And so I want you guys to let's explore that. First of all, fabulous card maker. Hold on. She just gave me a gift. Honoring Hue, am I right?
Yes.
HonoringHue.com. She takes these old vintage photographs and she can make anything that you have.
I do custom as well as gallery.
Go to the website. It's super cool, and it honors. What's your tagline?
Well, it's a collection of nostalgic themed greeting cards where we're creating keepsakes.
I love it. This says
they allow you to honor. It's a keepsake that allows you to honor in so many ways. It brings about with so much intention, with the blank inside, the writing a handwritten note, the social grace of it all, and the etiquette involved. And then we don't have photos anymore. We don't have photo albums in our homes. We don't have pictures on the wall like we used to. So this allows us to be that platform to tell those stories. These are not just generic cards. These are cards that, if they're custom, represent you, they're your family, your loved ones.
So they can pick an old photograph of their own. Who is this?
Sarah Hannah.
Who is Sarah Hannah?
She's my friend, mentee, photographer.
So this is an old picture of her playing piano as a little girl. It says, "Dream one size too big."
Yes.
I love it. So I love that you're bringing the etiquette into it and the formality, which is a ritual of sending love to each other.
Yes.
And so not only can you buy the cards already made, but you can create your own and put your sentiment in it, and it will come scripted, which who does that anymore? Usually we're texting this.
Yeah.
So it comes scripted, and then it's a keepsake that,
just
gorgeous.
That.
Kysha Cameron, she's such an entrepreneur. Yes. And then look at the other gift I got. You guys should be a show host because you get presents. So I also just got the this pendant amulet, which has what's in here. It's amethyst, and there's a blue stone, maybe luddite.
Is it? I don't know. Is it lapis?
All I know is it's near my
Beautiful.
throat chakra and near my heart chakra,
There you
and it
go.
is definitely going to help me find wiser things to say, which I'm going to try to channel here. And I know that it's going to bring me to a place of centeredness. Those of you that align with the energy of crystals and gemstones and things like that, that, what's so cool about the path that I've been on and being opened up to crystals and gemstones, while it could be scary or seem odd to people that, aren't into this belief system, what I look at it as, I was raised with a really conservative Christian background, and this was not part, of our practice, and you'd see it, and it was kind of woo-woo and scary, and it probably was right around near where the voodoo dolls were, hanging, and it just scared me. But now that I understand it, and from a Christian background, the way that I interpret it to people is that God made the earth. And think about our earth, the amount of power that is in the center of the earth, or science, and you go back to science, shows this. There's like a burning, flaming thing happening down there. You can only imagine the amount of power, i.e. energy, that's coming. And if the God that we all believe in created it, then you can darn well be assured that there is some energy down there that is being harnessed spiritually, cosmically, supernaturally, spiritually, whatever words you want to put on it. And so when they are harvesting these out of the earth, it is carrying an energy, and they have found that certain stones have certain properties that help in healing and help in clarity and help in alignment. And so we talked about, I'm not going to say who, but someone wears them inside their bra. And, I've done that. I've worn it in my bra before when I was going through some stuff. And you know what? The reason that we do that, and it's funny, but we're getting a lot of nodding heads. I know people.
No, yeah.
Yes.
You're talking about more than one of us, so
We
we're all
are,
about
yeah.
Bra wearers. The reason, though, is it keeps it against you. And, the vibratory power of these stones, it enhances, right? So who's well-spoken on these? Michelle, I see you lighting up.
Well,
Talk
why
about
I'm lighting up is it's almost like you were explaining the cards. I believe in the transfer of energy, and sometimes a thing, really, what is a gift? It's not necessarily the actual gift. It might speak to someone in certain ways, but it's the transfer of my love to you, and it's something that you can hold. I mean, one of my favorite things that we did in our Jacksonville S.H.E. was that we created prayer beads for a mom that just lost her daughter. And every woman in that circle had a bead, and with the bead was a prayer. And specifically, we bound them all together, almost like a rosary, because her background is also Christian and Catholic. And when she feels alone, she holds them. So I'm a believer in energy and touching and sharing and giving, whether it's a card or a crystal. And to your point, a crystal is God-made. I mean, that is a hidden treasure in the world. It's just metaphorical for finding something that you might not necessarily see, but it is for you, and it's your gift. Yeah.
I love this. So I love that you said that. Or I also got, I'm going to show you, is this the trademark for S.H.E?
That's it, yes.
The logo and the trademark for S.H.E. And so I got this.
You might not be able to see it close up.
I will show you. He will zoom in.
The tree is a woman.
The tree is a woman.
That's why I said it. Secret.
So if you can see that the form of the tree is actually a woman reaching up. So talk about why you picked this as your logo.
Well, Ina and I have always gotten signs about trees in general, and there's that whole rooting property of being grounded and solid and strong. And I love all different religions, but much to Kysha's point in the last episode we were talking about, I'm a naturalist by heart. As a little girl, I used to sit in trees before I even knew what meditation was. I would sit in silence, and that was where I went to church. And I go to church with my grandparents and my parents, but I never found the peace in those spaces that I did in that tree. And so as a little girl, trees always spoke to me. And when we were going back and forth on things, we just kept bumping into tree necklaces or tree images. And
but how funny that your tongue just got twisted and you said S.H.E necklace. It's like,
it's
like the same, right?
Yeah. And so it made sense that, I think that we, as people, one of my favorite even marital quotes is that Khalil Gibran one where two trees stand side by side, not in each other's shadow, that we are meant to be solid individual human beings that get the light of God to grow our leaves and emit this beautiful oxygen that we all get to breathe in. And so there's some metaphor there for human beings. And not to mention when I meditate on my porch and there are 3 huge oaks, I think that I literally look at them and I'm like, they must think we're crazy. It's like the spirit tree must look at humans and see us just scattering around like ants. And meanwhile, they're like, there's something about just like stay put for a minute, ground your feet, breathe. So to me, it's so many things, but that's just the surface.
But the choice of the tree just seemed really appropriate because, as you're saying, we both have a very strong connection to trees. I mean, they're absolutely magical, and I think one of the most beautiful things, many beautiful things on the planet, but I absolutely love trees. For me, they've always symbolized life in general. I mean, of course, there is the tree of life, but, the roots representing, like our ancestors and our connection to the earth, the trunk being so strong and the branches just being, for me, like all the possibilities, because there are just endless possibilities in life. So yeah, the tree just seemed,
Do you know what's incredible? Science is, I just read a study that I love when science catches up with spirituality and proves it, that the tree's roots communicate with each other.
Wow.
And they've had these studies that show, like, if maybe trauma hits a tree, other trees will communicate to start dropping leaves or to start, they'll actually have like migratory patterns and growth patterns, and they're communicating. And what a great metaphor is that for like us as humans, specifically for us as women, and this metaphor for roots and reaching up into each other, but not shadowing each other. And that's what they'll communicate to when they start touching.
Right.
They won't, like, they do anything they can to get out of each other's
To
sun.
share the light.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. I'm the same way. I had a tree too. And it's neat because, like, I forgot about it. And then as I had my awakening a few years ago, and I was so called back, like, sounds like you were, and sounds like you all are, to the natural elements and the divinity in them. It dawned on me one day during prayer time. They were like, hi, and you had the tree. Do you not remember that nobody knew about and that you would go and sit under and communicate with?
Right.
I was like, oh my gosh, I did that when I was like probably 6 before I knew it wasn't right. Or not right, but not possible. It wasn't possible, right?
That speaks to the child in you, which I'm so passionate about. And that's why as adults, if we can really just watch our children, they really know more than we do. They have just been, they are closer to the divine than we are. They just came
Definitely
from there.
clear.
They just are. And so, although we might need to teach them how to brush their teeth and pick up their socks and all that jazz, they have a lot to teach us. And when we speak over them, we are speaking over God. And it's important to just listen to what they have to share because they have a lot to share.
That is such a great paradigm shift, and I love when that comes up. My friend Megan and I were just talking about this last week in the show about how children are our teachers. And we've referred to this before, but I do want to just push that home because it's, when we're born, we're still fresh, from heaven, and we still know, and we haven't unlearned. We haven't been, it hasn't been deprogrammed, and so the children, actually science has also shown that you're, I'm a clinically trained therapist, if I forgot to mention that. So I refer to science a lot because I think it grounds people and it gives some backup, that's tangible. They show that actually hugging a tree or, pushing against a tree has medicinal qualities for the body, and it lowers your metabolism, and it actually brings a greater sense of well-being. They've shown this. So hug a tree. So my kids do. I live on a very busy road, and often when I need actually healing this week, I went out and prayed and like leaned against a tree. And, I just have to believe, there's trees all in religious sectors. I know the Bible refers to trees all the time, of course, from the Garden of Eden on. And the power of them. So, what a beautiful thing that you've picked, this tree. So I want to dive a little bit deeper into your experiences leading up to this, and how has your evolution informed the S.H.E evolution? Big question. I'm about to drop the mic on that one.
Who's taking it?
Well, for me personally, in my own personal healing journey, as I healed, there was just this deep awareness within myself that we all have so much to heal, that we've all been through things, life, I like to say is, it's a lesson, life is a masterful teacher. So, as we've had these experiences that are all designed to teach us and grow us and, to really push us to be who we came here to be.
Yeah.
So as I've had my awakening and, my gifts have come in as I've healed, I started writing poetry and just opened this whole new world for me. And all that I could think of was just giving back, just helping someone else to find their way, helping someone else to heal, helping someone, to find the joy in life. I think that's something that many of us have forgotten is that life is truly meant to be happy.
Yes. Amen. Yes.
And, so that's really what this is all about. She is about helping, women who in turn will help their children, who will help their partners. It's a collective. So we are focused on women, but truly this is for all of us.
We're here to change the world.
We are.
Absolutely.
We are. Yeah. And I think the greatest prayer, my kids will tell you what the greatest prayer I say, if you can say 2 words, is thank you. You've heard that before. I don't know who quoted that, but it's the best thing ever, because it is. And really, service is just the manifestation of a thank you, I think. It's like whatever was helping me felt so good that I want to give it to someone else. And it's your way of saying thank you to the infinite source that gave you that guidance and that comfort. And you want everyone to feel that sense of comfort when they're struggling, because we do all struggle.
Yeah, and I think what you're talking about too is, to go back to psychology, is there's ego, and we're ruled by ego, which is the need to please the self from a place of insecurity and a need to gratify the self. And we do that, and we go in and out of it. But I think when you hit this place of higher spiritual awareness, and this awakening happens, and you get closer to connecting with the divine source, what happens is the ego starts to get quieter, and you're connecting instead with the collective, the act of service, and like you were saying, gratitude. And it's not ego driven, because we were talking on the break and in the last episode that we shot, which was about, you had used the word, you didn't want personal, like monetary gain from S.H.E, and you were talking about your book that you're writing and how it's going to be given back. And so that shift from ego to service and giving back sounds like it's a really big part of it. And so how does that tie into what you guys are doing with S.H.E? How is the ego removed from it? How does the spirit and the act of service come into it?
I think you ruin it when you put anything related to the ego on it, because then it becomes something that's divinely planned into something that's selfishly intended for personal gain, which you may as well just say stop and don't ever have a gathering again, because you've shifted it. So that word energy is really important. And really, if there's anything that we are called to do from this point forward, since we've sort of gotten it off the ground, is be protectors of that energy, all of us, and just say, let's circle back here. Is this still in the same vein in which we started it? Because if it's not, we're wasting time. We just want to spend the remainder of our lives giving and helping. And that's the energy that, I don't care what you do. If you're an artist, if you're a lawyer, if you're a doctor, if you do things, and you know these people, like everybody has their career, but there are certain people in their careers that are just really performing, and it's because they've tapped into that this isn't about me thing.
Right.
That this is about me might carry you for a little bit.
Right.
Watch out. It's like the kids in line. I want to be the first person in line.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you're going to be the first person in line, but the line is short. The journey is long. It's let's all come. Let me pull you through, because that's where love is, and we are all love. We're here to admit love. We are love.
Absolutely. Michelle and I like to say, this is really not about us. We're doing this to help others. And truly, we are the vessel. We're the vehicle. We've said yes to something greater than ourselves, with a beautiful and pure intention. So that's what S.H.E really is all about.
Can I also add to that? Because I think that, like, if you look at yoga as a practice, when people say they're yogis but they didn't do yoga, the last time they did yoga was 2 years ago. It is a practice. And so for me, even a return to S.H.E, I can get in my own ego and go, when I'm with my sisters, oh my God, I forgot. You were talking about babies. My ex-mother-in-law used to whisper in babies' ears and go, "Don't forget." It's kind of our space to go, "Don't forget." So it is also healing me every time I come back to my girls, and we all can get sideways. And it's the practice of the return, not just we say that we're S.H.E. We will exercise that in the way that we act and how we emit. And when we make a mistake and we get an ego, we remind each other, "You're making a mistake. Or, come back to me. Where are you?" Because I think that's the human component of our psyche. To your point of the psychological part, like we are battling that, and we come back to a place where we know more.
Yeah.
We remind each other that we get lost.
Yeah, they were talking about, and you mentioned it, the intention behind these gatherings. And as we were saying, the next one is on April 19th here in Atlanta, and they've had a few in LA, and Michelle's done one in Jacksonville, and they've actually talked about that they're sprouting up all over the country. And that the intention is to have it as to have some structure in that it will flow, but that it is unstructured enough to where it is guided by the women that show up, and that it's not the Michelle show or the Ina show or whoever's leading it, but that it is the S.H.E show, and that it is about the women that come, and that the energy organically develops itself into the structure or the lack of structure, which is beautiful because there's a freedom in that. And we were just saying earlier about how freedom is a place of alignment, and I love that you just said that there's a protective, that you act as protector, because one would usually think of protection and protector role being the masculine, right? And it is a masculine role, and I think that that should be honored. But I love that there's a sense of protector in the feminine that it shows up for this. So talk a little bit about that. What are you protecting, and how does that show up within the women and within the group?
I spoke to you earlier about my friend and one of my shamans, Tom Blue Wolf, and his whole premise is if men would protect their women, if they really, back in tribal days, it was all about women gathering and men hunting, and if they did that, they would allow women to be what they came here to be, which is soft, nurturing, loving, all of those things. I think in the age that we are, unfortunately, there have been many times we're forced in roles to protect. And so I say that not in a masculine way. I say that in a feminine way. Like, this is of such value that the energy is so important to protect, or it will shift into a weird space, and not with guns and knives. I don't think that's how females protect. I think we protect with truth.
Yes.
I think we sit down, and when someone shows up with something off, we go, "That's not what you meant." Or someone shows up and they say, "This is how it should be, and this is how much money we can make," and all this stuff that we already, in this little bit of time here, like, people want to influence and be a part of because they feel the essence of this. Yeah. When we feel that sideways for like, "Thank you so much, we so appreciate the offer," that's not really what we're about. And so protecting is, as we move forward, just making sure that the people that surround us in this momentum, in this movement, have pure intentions and are of the spirit of we and not me and what can I get out of this, because it's not what we're about.
The word honor keeps coming on my heart.
Is it?
Because you're honoring the
Yes.
ladies that are present.
What have you seen, Kysha? Because I know Kysha also is a tribe leader
I am.
here in Atlanta. So what does that role mean? What are you, and what have you seen with the women in relation to what?
I'll do whatever I can, whatever is asked of me. No, but it's really incredible, because one of the things that I feel is one of my gifts is a connector. So I have I've always felt like it takes nothing. It's no effort. You need to meet this person should meet this person. Right. And I think so many people just don't do it. I also want to go back, because it just keeps sitting on my heart, is I love the tree. You didn't ask me. I love the tree because the tree is a giver and a taker. And I feel like as a female.
Oh, say it again.
Yes, the tree is a giver and a taker. And I think as women, we're taught to, give, and take kind of has a negative connotation. But the reality is that you can't give if you're not taking care of yourself. So that's why I love the tree.
I love that.
Now, what was the question again?
Before you even have the question, I want to say this is what I mean by the energy.
Yeah.
So we didn't sit down and go, "What's the mission statement?" Like,
Right.
that's the first time. And I've been talking about giving and receiving love. That was actually what I just put on the last bit. But I didn't translate it in the way that you just did with the tree. And this is what I mean. We collectively speak on behalf of what we're building.
Yes.
And, Kysha's perspective and voice adds this incredible just richness, and Hina does, and it's just we all create that, and we are unrepeatable, and when we align, we are magnificent.
Yes.
Like, we don't need to be carbon copies. And I will say, as a female, that is what media wants to show you, that you need to be some carbon copy of someone else because this is acceptable or affirmed. Like, no, that is not what God says. God says, "I gave you are a child of mine, as are you. There is enough and more to go around." And so
absolutely.
that needs to be translated to our younger girls and our boys. All of them.
All of it.
You don't have to fight for what is divinely yours.
Absolutely.
You already own it.
Yes, absolutely. And I think people see your light, I've been able to reach out to people and to share things with people and to bring people in, just because they know my heart. Or they see my light.
That is your light.
Without the premise of anything, without having to go through the details of how the evening's going to flow,
Well, people know when they're safe. It's
Right.
particularly women.
Yes.
Because it's the intuition.
Yes.
Yes.
Right? So how did you know you were safe over here?
Michelle. I had just met Ina. Hello, Ina.
How did you
met
meet
her
them? I
today.
don't know. Oh, yeah, you just met Ina today. So how did
So
you
I
and
met
Michelle
Michelle through a mutual friend, Dr. Dina Giesler. We were at a restaurant. It was very brief. She brought your name up, and then it was It was. I have a teenage daughter, and so it's approaching summer, and I know she's way over camps, and I'm like, well, and I thought about Michelle again, and so I went and Googled it, and my daughter was like, and we're going through all of this, and then
I believe you said to me, "Can you tell me more about S.H.E?" And I just said, "Can I meet your daughter?"
Right.
Tell them what S.H.E is really quickly.
Okay. So
Just the name. We can't get her off track.
Children helping children.
Okay, we'll get back to it. Go ahead.
That's right. So long story short, there's a woman's group. It's all female entrepreneurs. They meet once a month. I go out and I bring my daughter. the founder says, "Bring your daughter this time." I want to, and I was
And
like,
I'd never
okay.
been to this group either. which is
Right.
fun.
So I go. I have at the time. I guess she was 14 at the time. I take her with me. She's meeting all these incredible female entrepreneurs, and she literally walks out of there with 2 jobs, literally like 2 internships.
Oh,
I lie to you
special.
not.
She's special.
But I see Michelle again, and Michelle says, I'm Michelle. You just emailed me this week. And she immediately goes from me to my daughter. Like, literally, it was like the shift was completely. And when we left there, Kai was so bright. And when we left there, Kai went home. She Googled it. And literally, it was less than 24 hours she had submitted her application to be a junior board member with Children Helping Children. So Michelle reaches out to the kids, but she brings us all into the fold because, you can't resist it. It's a movement.
That's so beautiful and organic, but you're talking about trust, you're talking about kids. Now let's speak, because some people may be watching that didn't see our last show, so go ahead and talk a little bit about the nonprofit, because it's a great part of the root system that's
Right.
combining to the growth of all of this.
So the nonprofit is called Children Helping Children, and we basically teach children how to give back in the community. And it started, I had a third son who passed away from Down syndrome, and it was just an organic party that we had to celebrate his first birthday, and everybody came, and instead of bringing gifts, I just asked them to show up, and we did what you would normally do at a birthday party, except for we assembled what now is called our trademark Be Well Bears, and we donated them to Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. And then that was the grassroots start of a service curriculum that I wrote for schools. And really, it's the community's response, because at first I thought it was just, these are my friends who love me and they're coming to support the fact that I'm grieving my child, and that's pure love, right? And then I realized every year that someone said, well, can I bring this family and this family? And it was at my house, and I was like, okay, I can't have it at my house anymore, but I couldn't say no.
Yeah, it just starts growing.
When I went to schools, I realized these people didn't even know my story or me, but they really loved the mission. And so I felt like we had something more than just, these were my friends loving on me. This is really something that we need to put in the city, and it has evolved organically and is surrounded by light. And we are really allowing children to be leaders and be stewards of service. And before we do that, we highlight their gifts and their talents, because it's so important. And I think that all of the problems that we see in school and in life in general stem from people not being understood.
Yeah.
People just frantically feeling like, I'm not heard, and I'm not accepted, and I'm not loved. And sometimes you just have to put the brakes on. Did you do well on your SATs? Did you do your homework? All of these exterior things, and these kids are going, yeah, I did that, but nothing is filling me. Like, then you've got to find out what's filling your kids. Because if you don't fill it the right way, they're going to fill it with all the wrong things. All the wrong things.
And I wanted to say, she said, help highlight the kids. You said highlight the kids, their gift. But she also, the key part is she helps them identify it. She helps them, and when you're working with teens, that's when you're a mother or a father or a parent of 18, that's a hard thing to do. As the parent, it takes that special individual.
You just watch them, though. That's the secret. I think parents really like. And my background's in teaching, so before when I was a teacher, I literally could look at my kids that were looking at me in their little desks, and if I got this, I was like, all right, we're going outside. Like, you knew. And then the minute I was doing something and they were like, oh, I want to do that, like, you light them up. Like, you don't really need a book to show you that. Your kids are going to sit there and show you, this is exciting to me. I have ownership over this. I will be on your team, that kind of thing.
But you're allowing that, too, as the educator or the mother in the room, the teacher. It's an allowance, too, as the facilitator of that. And we all have roles, whether that's in our family or in our workplace, or, it's to be able to facilitate that and be open to the shifting and to, like we were saying, letting go of the structure and harnessing, like you were saying, that she brings that out. And so do you. I mean, everyone here does. Whenever you're in tune to that, I think that the more in tune you are to yourself, the more easily you can tune into other people, and you have that intuition about their glow or their light or when they light up, and recognizing it, because you've given yourself self-love first, and then I think that the natural progression is then, once that self-love is in place and you've given yourself permission, or you found a place that will help you give yourself permission, you learn how to help do that for other people. So with this work, how does that flood into S.H.E? Because you guys were saying earlier about how, when you're helping the kids, you oftentimes end up helping the parents, and you go to the parents and the moms, and you realize what the mothers are needing and the women are needing as well. So what do women show up needing when they come to these gatherings.
Wow.
Everything they're giving everyone else.
All right.
To be
So wait,
honest
say that
with you.
again.
They need everything they're giving everyone else.
That would apply to everybody listening that is a female or a giver of any sort. Obviously, it can be men too, because I know a lot of men who are givers.
Yes.
So you actually need what you're giving everybody else.
Yeah. And when you feel broken, it's because you've bankrupt yourself and you've given it to everyone else, and all of a sudden you're wondering why, like, no one's giving that to me. Because what you're putting out is, I'm really good at giving love. Here it is, here it is, here it is. And even if you have some people come in and go, well, wait, let me help you, because hopefully we're surrounded by some people that do that. You have to agree to say, okay, I will let you help me. But most of us go, no, I'm okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm okay.
No, it's okay.
But you're not okay. You know when you're okay. When you're okay, then you say no. But really, more
Does
often
this come
than
up in the group? Like, how much do you hear this?
I think all the time. I think in indirect ways you hear, right? Like, it shows up in the form of suffering. So it shows up in either, I'm, exhausted by being a mom,
Sick.
and I never get sleep, or I've been drinking too much, or I don't like my husband anymore, or I'm having nightmares about my child. Like, whenever pain is emitted, it is because your soul is not fed, and we pull donuts and alcohol and all kinds of things to numb that pain, and all it does is create more pain because it's a false sense of giving. And so always inward, always sharing, just like, I see you, I hear you, and I'm going to support your journey, to
So
wellness.
what is something like as simple and complex and awesome and raw as this, gathering that's just several hours? How does a shift happen from this to something that creates healing?
Wow.
Well, it's just about the energy of the space. As we talked about in the last segment, you get to this place of trust. There's an absolute trust that is established in the gathering, and it's not something that it's something that you intuitively feel. It's something that your soul knows. So we're just offering the space for that transformation to happen. We're holding that sacred space. And the people who come in will feel the change. They'll feel the shift. And, as Michelle said earlier, there's literally a moment where you feel it happen. You may come in and you're feeling, anxious because maybe you were, rushed to get there, or, whatever is going on in your life, you show up feeling a certain kind of way. And then we're actually able to create this space that every person there, you align with that. Typically everyone there will feel the shift at some point. And the beauty of it, the magic of it, is to be able to take that with you and then apply it to your daily life.
I think what we get most from the people that come is just, oh, what do you need me to do? How can I make, how can I help you? And typically I would say, all of us would say, like, gift it to someone else. Like, and it doesn't even have to come back and buy a ticket. Like, gift it some way in your life, because that's what this is about, emitting the transfer of this healing energy over and over and over again. You feel, when someone is talking to you, they could use the same tone, the same words, it could be wrapped in the same box, but when someone's speaking truth to you and they're being genuinely concerned for who you are, and not just being a wolf in sheep's clothing, and it's marketing and how can I get this person to do this thing for me. Whether we admit it or not, we know when people are doing that. Yeah, and it is clear. I don't care how strong your intuition is. Something inside of you goes, there's something not right about that. Or, oh my God, I feel like I've known this person forever. Like, there's a
It's
difference.
my story we talked about, and you, Michelle and I have shared a personal conversation where she's like, I felt that energy around you. I felt that was going on. I felt your spirit. And so what you find as you through this process and through these lessons and through this growth is that you can identify that energy in other people, not specifically, but you know who you're supposed to meet, you know who you're supposed to connect to, you know who needs a hug. It's that kind of place. I think for so often women have a hard time moving from our heads to our hearts. But something incredible happens when you arrive to a S.H.E gathering, because even if you're not in the practice of doing that, it happens. And
we were talking on the phone this morning about, it might not even be you come to S.H.E and get something from one of us. Maybe where we are in that moment is not meeting you where you need to be specifically. I mean, you're going to feel it generally, but I guarantee someone there, we were talking about the last S.H.E, where one female and another female connected in ways that they both needed. That's the collective energy of S.H.E, because you will get whatever it is you're asking. It's just like life in general. You set an intention and you say, I need this. I don't know how it's coming. You were talking earlier about a book falls off the shelf and all that kind of stuff. But it's true, right? Like I was on the labyrinth and like, oh, I want to, ask a question and I'd trip over a hematite rock that I get. I mean, it's always like, hello, and it's all over. So it is just being open to that energy and the right. We can't single-handedly, there's no, even on this panel, we can't single-handedly touch every single female on the planet directly, but we can indirectly. And the only way we can do that is to step away from it and go, this is going to transfer to this girl, and this girl might transfer to this girl, and let's just keep passing that on.
It's a ripple effect.
All the way around. Like, keep passing it on. And that's how you shift the planet. And that's how you shift the way we see each other. And that's how you heal and remind each other. Because for some reason, all the mixed messages we're getting are loud. Yes. The real ones are quiet. Yes, they're quiet. So we've got to...
At least sometimes. Initially they are until you wake up.
Well, until you get batted over the head. Like, I told you 10 years ago that, until you're sick. And then it's a show. But that's when you've passed wellness. And we want to hopefully hear it the first time when you're in wellness. Yeah.
It's been 30 minutes. I can't believe it's been 30 minutes. That went by so quickly. Because we were hitting a groove. That was awesome.
Go, girl.
These ladies are changing the planet.
I keep staring at this ring. It's so beautiful. It's like a bird's nest. I think we're done.
No, we're almost done. But we got to close up on the ring then. I'm sorry. All the girls are going to be curious.
Open it.
It's a beautiful little ring, and on the inside, there's a little bird inside.
Are you kidding?
Oh, wow.
I love it. Yes, I was at a jewelry store in Ibiza, and it was like all local artists, but there was something just really
Yes.
You can't have a ladies' lunch without talking about jewelry.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Birds in the nest. I love it. That's awesome. Thank you. Because somebody was wondering that, so you just answered it for that particular person who was wondering. You can find all of us. Are you going to be here for the Atlanta gathering?
Yes. I will.
Okay. You can find all of us at the S.H.E Gathering in Atlanta, and it will be at Park Tavern, April 19th.
Yes.
And
6 p.m.
It will be at 6 p.m. and dinner and libations to follow if you so choose. And I hate to choose to end this because this conversation was so great, and we knew it would be. I knew it would flow organically and that we would come together collectively and spread this love to you guys. So I hope that you got what you needed. I definitely got what I needed. Spreading the love. Remember, you have a sole purpose for being here. Thanks for watching.